President, please be seated. The court is now in session. Today, the chamber continues hearing 2 CTW 1037 and then proceeds to hear the expert 2 TCE 98. Greffier J.C. Huang, please report the attendance of the parties and other individuals at today's proceedings. Greffier, Mr. President, for today's proceedings, all parties to this case are present. Mr. Nguyen Jie is present in the holding cell downstairs. He has waived his right to be present in the courtroom. The waiver has been delivered to the greffier. The witness who is to testify today, 2 TCW 1037, is here with the Deputy Counsel Mung Zawan. And the next expert to certify is 2 TCE 98. The expert has confirmed that to the best of his knowledge, he has no relationship by blood or by law to any of the two accused, Nguyen Jie and Khieu Samphan, or to any of the civil parties admitted in this case. The expert will take a note before the chamber. Thank you, Mr. President. President, thank you, Ms. J.S. Huang. The chamber now decides on the request by Nguyen Jie. The chamber has received a waiver from Nguyen Jie dated 18 October 2016, which states that due to his headache, back pain, he cannot sit or concentrate for long, and in order to effectively participate in future hearings, he requests to waive his right to participate in and be present at 18 October 2016 hearing. Having seen the medical report of Nguyen Jie by the duty doctor for the accused at the ECCC dated 18 October 2016, who notes that Nguyen Jie has dizziness when he sits for long and when he stands, and the doctor recommends that the chamber confirm his request so that he can follow the proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs. Based on the above information and pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber grants Nguyen Jie his request to follow today's proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs via audio-visual means. AV unit personnel are instructed to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that he can follow the proceedings. This applies to the whole day. Next, the chamber gives the floor to the co-prosecutors to put questions to the witness. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, Counsel. And good morning, Mr. Witness. Thank you for being with us again here this morning. When we left off yesterday, we were talking about your work in the fishing unit, providing fish for the military. Can you tell the court when you left the fishing unit?
I stopped working at the fishing unit in 1978.
And why did you stop working at the fishing unit at that time?
It was because the army of the upper level dismantled my unit, and we were separated and placed in the various cooperatives For instance, some of us were placed at Salak Om Cooperative, and some others were sent to Phnom Tapaday. And we were also sent to some other locations as well.
And when you refer to the army of the upper level, are you talking about the Southwest Zone cadre?
At the time, the army of the Southwest Zone came in large groups. There were 4 or 5 boats and hundreds of families were sent to various sectors. For example, sector number 4 and a sector at Kwa Kralo, Phnom Tapaday, and also in various cooperatives.
And where did you personally go at that time?
There were 7 or 8 families, including me, were told to live in a cooperative in Taon, which was in Todak village, Anlong Todak village. And as I said, it was a cooperative in Salatra on sector number 4.
When you moved to live in this cooperative, did you notice a difference in the living conditions of the people in the cooperatives versus the living conditions when you were in the military?
I personally observed that living condition in cooperatives became worse compared to the time when I was living in the army. Although in the army we did not have enough food, we still had cold rice and gruel. After we were moved to the cooperatives, we could only have gruels in the morning and in the evening, and 2 or 3 cans of rice were given for 10 of us.
You talked about some of the places that other members of the fishing unit went. Did some of them go to a place named Kakao Prison?
Kokok prison, regarding that prison, we were not transferred to that prison. The zone army were sent to that location, Kokok prison, for refashioning. Many of them were sent there. I did not know at the time which soldier was sent to that location for refashioning. All I know is that large number of them were sent to that Kokok prison for re-education or refashioning.
And are you able to tell the court anything else about Kakao prison, other than that it was used for large numbers of zone military prisoners? I'll repeat my question. I'm not sure if you heard it. I'm just wondering if you know anything in addition to the fact that Kakao prison was used for large numbers of zone, Northwest Zone Army prisoners. Do you know anything else about it?
President, please hold on, Mr. Witness. You may not proceed. Antagouse.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm speaking at this point because I don't know where Mr. Prosecutor is going with these questions, but here again I'd like to know which part of the separation order the prosecutor is referring to when he speaks these questions, and if it's not a security center that is part of the case file, or 002/02, and part of the separation order. If not, I would object to the question.
In response, my questions have to do with purges of Northwest Zone cadre, where they were sent, how they were treated. I'm not asking questions in light of a view that this particular prison center is a crime site. It has to do with the general policy of the purges that was carried out. Mr. Witness,
President, the chamber overrules the objection. The question can be put by the co-prosecutor because it has something to do with the policy. Mr. Witness, please answer the question put by the co-prosecutor if you recall it. Witness, on this particular topic, Koko was not the prison, in fact. It was a refashioning location for minor prisoners. Minor prisoners were sent there for refashioning. And for more serious prisoners were placed in another location at night time. I myself was not, had no experience living in that location. I heard that from the soldiers.
you just mentioned differences in treatment of prisoners who were considered to be more or less serious. Do you know where higher-ranking officials who were arrested were sent after they were arrested in the Northwest Zone?
I do not know exactly where those people were sent to. For high-level cadres from sector and zone, we were not allowed to know where they placed those senior people. I heard that the senior people had been sent to Phnom Penh. I learned that from the zone army.
When you say that you learned it from the Zone Army, are you talking about the Northwest Zone Army or the Southwest Zone Army?
I learned from the Northwest Zone Army.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I'd like to now begin asking you some questions about some of the topics that you were asked about yesterday. And I'd like to start off asking you about the individual who you discuss in your statements named Taham. Can you tell us again, you mentioned it yesterday, but can you tell us again what Taham's position in the Northwest Zone was?
the home held a position in the general staff of the zone.
Here's what you said at in your DC CAM statement E3/10/666, English 01330540, Khmer 01326329. Question: what was the name of the chief of the zone economics? Answer: it was Taham. Question: were economics and logistics the same? Answer: yes, they were the same, but this was part of the army. The zone was different. Close quote. Is that correct, that Taham was the chief of the zone economics and or logistics?
Let me tell you that Taham was not chief of the zone economics. He was part of the staff office in charge of logistics. Regarding chief of economics of the zone, it was Tasum who was in charge of it. And he was part of the fishing unit as well.
The Taham that you reference in your statements, do you know his full name? I understand that Taham was an alias, but do you know his actual name?
I do not know his surname. I only know his first name. He was referred to by the name Tahom. I do not know his last name.
And what happened to Hom?
As I told you earlier, he was linked to the cadres of the zone, and it was allegedly said that he was linked to the KGB or internal agents. He was accused by the upper Angka, and some of the people were accused in the network.
And was he arrested?
I did not witness his arrest at the time. However, those who were living in the same location as he was, and those who were working in the same office, said that he was called to a study session and he disappeared ever since. I do not know whether or not he was arrested or where he was sent to. He disappeared from that time onward.
Do you know when he was called to that study session?
I did not recall the exact date when he called to a study session. It perhaps happened in 1977 or perhaps in mid-1977.
Thank you. Mr. President,
President, you may now proceed to Judge Lamena.
Oui, c'est pour rappeler aux parties.
Yes, it's just to tell the parties in particular if they can wait a little bit for the interpretation after asking the question. The last questions that you've asked haven't been able to be translated or interpreted, just for your information.
Yes, absolutely, Judge Laverne. I apologize also to the interpreters. Mr. President, with your leave, I'd like to show the witness some documents on the screen now to see if I can refresh his memory.
Present. Yes, please.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, I'm going to be showing you a series of 5 documents now on the screen in front of you. These are contemporaneous documents from the period of democratic Kampuchea, and I will walk them. I will walk you through them at the same time. So just wait until they appear on the screen, or the first one does. Mr. Witness, this is a E38707.7, English ERN 00143315. The Khmer is actually at a slightly different document number, E3/8707, Khmer 00052760. This is a note from Chan in the S21 office to Doik on the 15th of September 1977, reporting on prisoners taken in on 13th September 1977. There's only one mentioned for that day, and it says, quote, Northwest Zone P. Hin, alias Ham, Zone Military Economic Chief, close quote. If we can now go to the next document. This is E3/10275. It's only available in Khmer. It's an S21 prisoner list, and at Khmer 01017124, there's an entry, if we can show the document on the screen, for P. Hin, alias Ham, entered on 13 September 1977, age 36. It states that he was the chairman of the Northwest Zone Military Economy. We can go to the next document. It's E3/3182, Khmer 00088690, English 00784613. This is an S21 prisoner list that states that He Hing, alias Ham, male, 35 years old, from the Northwest Zone, described as Chief of Zone Farm, entered on 14 September 1977 and died of disease on 3 October 1977. The next document is E3/10003. It's only one page. Khmer is 01012327. It's only available in Khmer. It's a daily controlling list of prisoners made on the 7th or 8th of October 1977. There is a handwritten note by Hoare at the bottom that states that 3 people died. One of them was He Hing, alias Ham, who was chairman of the Northwest Zone military site. We can show that document on the screen. If the AV unit could please allow us to show that document on the screen. Thank you. And the last document is 1208. It's a telegram sent by Rosnim, the Northwest Zone Secretary, to respected Ankar 870 on 21 December 1977. Here, Rosnim is apparently unaware that Ham has already died. He's asking for information obtained from Ham so that he can carry out arrests on behalf of the center. He writes, quote, "I wish the security to ask Ham who is responsible for zone military logistics as soon as possible so that all of his connections are identified and arrested," close quote. And just for the information of the Chamber and the parties, the OCIJ S21 list E3/10604, number 1791. It's a 36-year-old male, P or he, Hin, alias Ham, chief of the Northwest Zone Military Economics, entered S21 on 13 or 14 September 77 and died on 7 or 8 October 77. Now, Mr. Witness, seeing these contemporaneous documents, does that refresh your memory that the Taham that you knew, who was involved in zone military economics and was arrested at some point in mid-1977, was someone named He Hing or P Hing, and that he was sent to S21 in Phnom Penh?
Concerning the name He Hing, I never heard of that name. The name that I heard from the time of war and also from the liberation period in 1975 was the name Hom. I have never heard of any other names besides Hom.
Thank you. Your Honors, just because yesterday there was statements made by Nguyen Chea's counsel in open court regarding the veracity of a witness who appeared and his identification, I'd just like to point out that it appears that there's at least more than one Taham that was in the Northwest Zone. Indeed, there's a WRI of 2 TCW 1036 at E3/9581, answer 67. He states that he was aware of at least 3 individuals in the Northwest Zone named Taham.
Just an observation, Mr. President. Thank you, and good morning. I do understand what the prosecution just said. However, for completeness' sake, and also for the benefit of the Supreme Court chamber who might be watching, Todt, who gave an interview to the investigators, said in E3/9610 in question and answer 31 the following: "I used my alias Ham. One of my foster brothers saw my name in the list of the people who were executed at Tul Sleng, and knowing that I'm still alive, he invited me to look at the name list at Tul Sleng." So the mystery isn't solved yet.
I don't intend to get into this debate now. I'm happy to make submissions on this. I'm quite confident in our position. However, the information that the counsel has just pointed out only goes to support my view that there might be more than one Taham, as is shown the evidence we received. But we can have that debate in the final briefs at some other point. Mr. Witness, I'd like to now move on to ask you just a couple of questions regarding the Ta Kleng that you were asked about yesterday. You stated in your testimony that Ta Kleng was the chief of the military staff of the Northwest Zone. Is that correct?
បាទចំណុចហ្នឹងគឺ
I am not sure whether it's correct or not that he was in that position. But what I knew was that he was within Division 1 and Division 2 General Military Staff.
Thank you. And you also stated he was arrested. Do you know what happened to him after he was arrested?
តាមខ្ញុំដឹងគឺ
To my knowledge, as I told you earlier, that those who were part of the networks, those who were linked to the zone's military, those who were considered as part of that network were all accused of being traitors.
And this is what you said in your written record of interview, E3/9580, answer 5. Question, besides Tassum, the chairman of the fishing unit, was there anyone else? Answer, at that time there was Tacham, Ta Kleng, and Taham. The last to be arrested was Tanim. To my knowledge, Ta Kleng, the zone military staff, was probably sent to S-21. Initially, the chairmen of Divisions 1 and 2 were arrested, followed by the leaders of the regiments, battalions, and artillery units. Close quote. In this statement, you say probably sent to S-21. Can you tell the court if you had any knowledge as to why you said he was probably sent to S-21?
Besides Taham and Ta Kleng, I did not know where others were sent to. What I knew was that Taham and Ta Kleng were sent to Phnom Penh. They were arrested on the same day. Correction, they were arrested on different days.
I'm going to ask you the same question about Ta Kleng. Do you know what Ta Kleng's real name was?
ខ្ញុំអត់ស្គាល់ដែរ
I did not know because they lived in different villages. They live in the same commune, in Kampong Kul commune, but from different villages. Therefore, I did not know their original names beside the names that people call him Ta Kleng.
On the case file, the OCIJ S-21 list E3/10604, number 7223. Mr. Witness, we have a entry for Lim Chuom, alias Kleng, age 42, Deputy Secretary, Division 2, Northwest Zone, who entered S-21 on 18 December 1977. Does that refresh your memory that Ta Kleng's name was Lim Chuom?
No, I have never heard of this name.
Thank you. I'd like to now move on to asking you some questions about Tavan, who you discussed yesterday. You stated yesterday that Tavan was part of the Sector 2 committee. Do you know Tavan's real name?
I did not know his original name. People simply referred to him as Tawang. He was in the struggling force long before the 1970s. I got to know him because he worked in the department, and I was in charge of liaisons with him regarding the food and ammunition that need to be supplied to the soldiers. People simply referred to him as Tawang. I did not know his original name.
Do you recall when Tavan was arrested?
I cannot recall it. I did not know from what years to what years that he was in charge of controlling Sector 2. In 1973, he's already a member of the Sector Committee. I did not know what position he held prior to that. Later on, he was assigned to supervise a dam construction site.
I'm not sure if my question was understood. I was asking if you knew when Tavan was arrested.
I cannot recall when.
Let's see if I can refresh your memory. E3/10604, the OCIJ S21 list. It's number 913. Male 36, Chea Huan, alias Van, Secretary of Sector 1, Northwest Zone, entered S21 on 20 June 1977. Does that refresh your memory that Tavan was arrested somewhere around June or mid-1977?
I cannot recall it. Because in 1976-77, I was already assigned to Tonle Sap area, and I rarely came to the Battambang provincial town. I spent most of my time at Tonle Sap.
In your testimony yesterday, you said that Tassom told you that Tavan had been illegally equipping mobile forces, but that you didn't know where Tassom received his information from, and you didn't know any further details. Do you know if Tavan actually did the things that he was accused of?
I heard from other people that Tawang was accused of concealing weapons to arm his force illegally, and that was the reason of his arrest. That was what people told me about. For other things, beside that, I don't know.
In your DC CAM statement, E3/10/666, English 01330557, Khmer 01326340, you describe the information that you heard about Van, and then you're asked, but according to what you know, was this story true, the story that he prepared forces to fight back? Answer, I don't know whether or not it was true. He was arrested. Is that correct, that you don't know whether or not the stories that you heard about Tavan were true?
Bàចម្លើយហ្នឹងគឺខ្ញុំ
Yes, I stand by my answer. I gave my answer based on what I heard from other people told me. Whether what they told me were true or not, I don't know. But I noticed that Tawan disappeared.
Did you ever hear anything about anything that Chair Juan Elias Van said when he was arrested?
Bạn xong chú mà đón tiếp.
Please repeat your question.
Sure, no problem. The question was whether you ever heard anything about what Chair Juan Elias Van said when he was arrested.
Bạnខ្ញុំអត់ដែលឮ
I have never heard what exactly Chair Juan Elias Van said. I heard only from what Chair Sum told me. I never met him personally since the Liberation Day in 1975. I never met him because my work responsibility was different from his.
I'd like to read you a quotation. This is E3/413. It's a written record of interview of Salat Ban, English 003-61014, Khmer 003-57531, French 004-05456. And he is talking about people being brought to Phnom Penh. He says, quote, Mr. Pang just told them that they would be taken to study only. I heard that some arrested people had shouted that, long live the Communist Party of Kampuchea, long live Pol Pot. Those people included Mr. Hu Nim, Vorn Vet, K. Kim Huat, including my teacher, Chair Huan Tu. Close quote. Does that refresh your memory that these people, and specifically Chair Juan Elias Van, said things to the effect of long live the Communist Party of Kampuchea when they were arrested?
I have never heard such statement.
Thank you. I'd like to now ask you a couple of short questions about Ross Nim. First, can you tell us who replaced Ross Nim after he was arrested?
កាលនោះខ្ញុំមិនទាន់ដឹងរចនា
At that time, I did not know about the hierarchical structure yet. People at the upper level assigned someone to replace Ruhnyam. At that time, I saw Tamok and Tatit were already at Battambong. I saw him at Sector 1, Sector 2.
In answering a question about Rosnim yesterday, you stated that you met Rosnim in person a couple of times when you attended political study sessions with him at a political school. Is that correct?
បាទត្រង់ហ្នឹងគឺ
Yes, that's correct. At that time, cadres from various sections and offices were invited to a political studies session, and I met him. In fact, I knew him even before the Liberation Day in April 1975, when we were still in the jungle.
And when did these study sessions take place?
កាលនោះខ្ញុំ
I cannot recall the venue, but the study session took place many times. Each one lasted about 2 to 3 days.
And did these occur before April 17th, 1975, or after, or both?
The study session took place after 17 April 1975. It took place in late 1975. And then in early 1976, to my recollection, it was probably in February or March, another round of study session was conducted.
Who would lead these study sessions? Who would talk at these study sessions?
The persons who gave the lecture included the committee from the zone's military, including Ta Klaing, Ta Ker, and Ta San. Ta San was the one who explained to us in details during the study session.
And what things were you taught during the study sessions? What types of topics were addressed?
At that time, to my recollection, the study session was about the strengthening of our political stance and about the revolution and about strengthening our spirits to struggle against the feudalism, capitalism. We needed to eliminate this kind of feudalism and capitalism from the society. We needed to strengthen our stance in order to serve the revolution and our army. And those were the points I remember.
Thank you. I'd like to now move on to asking you some questions about the information that you've told us that you heard regarding plans for rebellion. You reiterated today that you only heard about this from other people. You don't know if it was true. You also explained yesterday that most of the information you learned about an alleged plan came from the Southwest Zone cadre after the arrests of Northwest Zone leaders had taken place. I'd like to start off by asking you some questions, a couple of brief questions just about your own fishing unit. The fishing unit that you were part of, where individuals were arrested and dispersed, did the Southwest Zone cadre ever accuse you or other people in your fishing unit of anything when they were arresting you or dispersing you?
Before the arrest of my chief named Tasum, before that, the Southwest Force came to supervise my unit and my area. They made accusations and reports to the zone that my men stole fuels and dumped those fuels into the river. They accused me and my men of sabotaging the interests of the nation, of the army. So those were the accusations. And then later on, they arrested Tasum. And after Tasum had been arrested, they started to gather up all the people in the fishing unit, and those people were separated from each other and sent to different cooperatives. In fact, there were no rebellions. Only some people escaped into the forest to create the Khmer Saw or White Khmer movement.
The things that the Southwest Zone cadre accused you and the members of your fishing unit of doing, such as putting fuel in the water, had you actually done those things?
No, we did not do that. People living in the area knew about this. When we transported fermented fish or food, or when we transported fuels in order to supply the engine boats, we were shortage of fuel. So how come that we dump fuel into the river? We tried to explain, but perhaps they did not believe us, and that's why Tasum was arrested. Later on, they dispersed people in my fishing unit. We were separated from each other and put in different cooperatives. The engine boats and other fishing equipments were left behind there. We only removed the big engines from the boat in order to be used to transport people and we went to Sala Taon, and some were transported all the way to Battambang provincial town.
Do you know why the Southwest Zone cadre would accuse you of doing something that you hadn't actually done?
I object. That would be asking for speculation. He has no idea of knowing what deliberations were made among the Southwest Zone cadres, whether in fact oil was found. That's really asking for speculation.
Not if the question is, do you know if? Because if he doesn't know, he can say, I don't. And I remember that was the way the question was phrased.
Mr. Witness, I'll repeat my question. Do you know why the Southwest Zone cadre would accuse you and your men of doing things that you hadn't actually done?
At that time, there were people from the Southwest Zone who come to work in my unit. Perhaps those people reported to people at the upper level, and that was why they made such accusations. In reality, we did not do like what they accused us.
Did any Southwest Zone cadre ever tell you who had directed them to come to the Northwest Zone and why they were there?
I did not know about the thinking of people at the upper level. At that time, they said that they wanted to have these people join at various respective units.
I'd like to read you a quote from your written record of interview. This is E3/9580, answer 36. Question: when the Southwest group arrived in the Northwest, did they ever announce in meetings that they had come to take control of the zone? Answer: during meetings, they never said they had come from the Southwest. They only declared that Upper Angkor had assigned them to take control of this place. We learned they were from the Southwest through village gossip. Close quote. Does that refresh your memory that you heard Southwest Zone cadre in meetings telling you that Upper Angkor had assigned them to come to the Northwest Zone?
I never heard so. But people who came to work with me told me that they came to join the unit because the Upper Angkor sent me to come in order to help your unit. And that was what those people told me.
Is it true that you would sometimes attend meetings where Southwest Zone cadres would give you information?
On this particular point, they never convinced us to a meeting. 2 or 3 of us from the economic zone were invited to discuss the work issue, and they were told to assist one another and to instruct one another. For me, I never received any plan or instruction from the upper level.
Did you ever, you were just referencing when you were still in the fishing unit, did you ever attend any meetings after you were sent to the Salah Ta'an commune when you received information from Southwest Zone cadre or officials?
They did not call me into a meeting, but we convened a meeting among our small group in relation to work issue and food issue. We were told not to conceal and bring our gruel back to our homes. And we were told to go straight away to the kitchen hall when we heard the bell. In addition to that, we were instructed not to be lazy and to respect the working hours.
I'd like to read you a quote that you gave to the investigators, E3/9580. At answer 37, you're asked, quote, after the arrests of the Northwest group, did they ever organize a meeting to announce why they arrested the Northwest group? Answer, I used to join meetings with Salah Ta'an Commune Cooperative Chairman Ta'im from the Southwest. He said that the Northwest leaders had betrayed Ankar and the people, and that he had come to reunite and redevelop the cooperative. The previous ones had betrayed Ankar, and Ankar had swept them clean already. Close quote. Does that refresh your memory that you attended such a meeting where you received information regarding why Northwest Zone officials were swept clean?
Upon my first arrival, they told the villagers who had been there at the beginning, at Atlanta on, to work with other villagers. And Ta'am was first there, and villagers were told to go to a meeting, and that topic was discussed, the topic that you made a mention. And they raised a question why the fishing unit was required to live in that location. And we were told that it was because the leader of the fishing unit was a traitor. That is why there was a person to replace the fishing unit to strengthen it. And this was the first time when I attended the meeting, and I heard that in the meeting. We had meetings, but not very often, and the meeting was related to the work issue.
I'd like to read you a couple of quotes now from your DC CAM statement. The first one, which is E3/10666, English 01330560, Khmer 01326341. Quote, question, how did they announce about the supervision of Tamok? Answer, they announced that the zone chief had betrayed Ankar. This or that chief had betrayed. Then they appointed names to all the districts and sectors. Close quote. The next quote is at English 01330541 and Khmer 01326330. Quote, this is you speaking to begin with. I did not lack much. The shortages happened when the Southwest Zone arrived. They dissolved my team. They said Ta Nim, Ta Kleng, and Ta Ren were all traitors, close quote. When you're using they in these descriptions, are you referring to these types of meetings where Southwest Zone cadre would tell you about the reasons for the arrests?
The reason of the arrest was because of the fact that they were accused of being in the traitorous network. So there were purges from units to units. I heard that from the Southwest Zoners.
Did they also tell you that individuals from the Southwest Zone were Vietnamese and CIA spies?
I used to hear of it. The people from the Southwest Zone did say that those who were from the Northwest were CIA agents or other agents serving the feudalism. I heard of that. I personally never went to ask them for further clarification of information. I only noted the information. And during the time, they were trying to search for those who were linked to Tasum group. I myself never did any bad things to the villagers or members, so I was concealed by the villagers and my colleagues. I was told that those who were linked to Tasum had already been arrested. There were 6, 7, or 8 families remained living at Salah Ta'on. I was concealed by villagers and my colleagues. At the time, I had been revealed that I was the deputy within a Tasum unit. I would have no chance to come here.
And just one follow-up question: why did you say that you would have no chance to come here if it had been revealed that you were a deputy in the fishing unit?
I myself believe that if they had found out who was the deputy chief, I would have been arrested and sent for refashioning, and I would have been deprived of food and water to drink. So it was their own decision on me how to treat me if I would have been found that I was the deputy chief.
Mr. President, I'm about to move to another topic if you'd like to take a pause.
President, I thank you very much. It is now time for break. The chamber will take break from now until 10:30. Court officer, please assist the witness during the break time in the waiting room, and please invite him back together with the duty counsel into the courtroom at 10:30. The court is now in